to CDO Magazine interview series. I am Michael Schwarz with Resultant, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT, CDOIQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Atif Usman, Global Director of Business Intelligence and Analytics at Zimmer Biomet. How are you doing, Atif?
I am well. How about yourself?
Very good. Would you mind just to tell a little bit about yourself and how you ended up in your role within data leadership?
Sure. I started off actually about 20 years ago as a developer in databases and business intelligence, developing data warehousing and front-end reporting. Then kind of moved up the ranks, became a senior developer, senior consultant, and then from there moved into project management. And that kind of became a stepping stone to moving into people management and overall data analytics leadership. And then from there, just grew into more senior roles to where I am today.
Yeah, congratulations. Sounds like a great path from practitioner up to leadership. And so within Zimmer, what do you see as the biggest benefit to patients of a modern data analytics platform over using something that others may consider a legacy type of system?
I think the capability, really, the modern ecosystem has so much to offer in terms of data slicing and dicing, advanced analytics like auto ML and those kind of capabilities, as well as different ways to visualize the data as well, right? Because that matters, because sometimes if you're looking at just a bunch of rows and columns, may not make much sense, right? Or doesn't give you the full picture. The drilling capabilities, the ability to use different kind of charts and graphs and kind of geospatial type stuff too, if required. That really, especially leadership, executive level and senior leaders in general in a company, they can make better decisions, right? And the better decisions they make, whether it's on product, whether it's in supply chain, getting the right part or med device to a patient, that helps with the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really supporting and leading a very data-driven organization. How do you foster that kind of culture all the way down from your line levels to all the way to those executive levels that you mentioned?
Right. Well, it comes from the top. Actually, our leadership themselves want to be a data-driven culture, and they've publicly stated that numerous times, and that's a good thing, right? Because that helps us kind of from a bottom up with the tools, technology, the strategies, the training, kind of help build that up across the organization, right? So, over the years, we've not only provided consolidated data sources from various ERPs and things like that to people, so people can have access to that data, and then use our various self-service technologies to derive insights that they require.
Yeah, you mentioned self-service. So I'm curious a little bit about data governance, right? When you really empower a lot of folks at your organization to self-serve information and create analytics, how do you make sure that the core is really governed and you've got a good management structure around your data elements?
Well, one of the areas is we have to make sure that we know who's accountable and responsible for certain data, right? And who are the subject matter experts. So those are the folks that we depend on and rely on to make sure that the data is being updated the way it's supposed to be. It's, and the definitions of it as well, where we know what are the latest definitions and understanding of certain, because this stuff evolves over time, right? As the business changes, as you have, growth or structural changes in any company, right? You would have those kind of changes. So I think that's very important. I think, the different functional areas having a good understanding of their own data. And of course, nobody's perfect, right? We still have I would say, a long way to go to make that even, even more optimal and taking it to the next level.
Yeah. And so when you're thinking about building this ecosystem and supporting self-service. When you create the core of your ecosystem from a data perspective, how do you start to look at those use cases that help you prioritize your roadmap, that prioritize how you help serve the business from a data perspective?
Right. So there's two angles to that, right? One is kind of like, what is the demand of the business, right? So there's a demand stream that we have where different functional areas have different requirements, different needs, depending on their maturity level and where the business is headed. So we fulfill those, following our process, right? And then if we see an opportunity to take them to another level of maturity as part of getting that demand, we will go ahead and do that. We will present something to them to give them a better understanding of how laying a foundation now will allow them to be more efficient in the future, right? So that's one angle. The other angle is a more proactive angle where we may see certain use cases that other companies have done, or industry standard type KPIs or advanced analytics that we may be taking to the business and saying, hey, do you have, why aren't we using this? Is there a limitation? Is this something not important to us? And from there we have that kind of ideation process, and things get filtered out. So we may have 20 ideas, but only 3 are actually actionable and useful.
Yeah, that's right. It's so important to get the innovation that is possible matched with business need and use case. And sounds like you're hitting that from both sides. I think we've talked a little bit about operational within the organization from a data perspective. Talk a little bit about the sales team. We look at information that can help better decision making, drive conversations, engagement, relationship, knowledge about product. What kind of information are you arming sales teams with on that side?
Well, we have daily sales reports that are published in our self-service tool. It's used across the company for daily sales. We have that data consolidated in kind of a centralized data warehouse from our various sources and ERPs, and that allows the sales team to get their daily sales number, which is critically important for them to make sure that our patients are served, patients and surgeons are served properly.
Yeah. And then really, let's close up with culture around, fostering really desire to participate in self-service and helping to drive the business. What are a couple of ways that you use to just foster that interest of getting involved in the data side? Is it coming from the top? Is it grassroots? Let's talk a little bit about fostering the culture and the drive towards self-service.
So I have a data and analytics council that I've established where I have leaders from different functional areas that we meet once a month. So that's a quorum where a lot of this discussion takes place. Ideas that we may have that we want to bounce off of various business leaders, and vice versa, needs that they may have that they feel that, hey, how would we get to this over the next anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, right? And then technology changes, we can push through that type of a council, as well as talking to various leaders and having that relationship established, right? Even outside the council, right? Because in a large corporation, it's just not about a few people. It's there's a large group of leaders that have different interests, different focus points, lines of business, etc. And you want to make sure that you're serving everyone, and actually introducing them to concepts and ideas that they were not aware of, right? The art of the possible, and that really helps. I know there's been groups that have been on Excel, and that's all they've used. And we introduced, more modern self-service tools and saying, hey, why aren't we using this? And then they said, okay, give us access, right? Give us access. We gave them training, and then they started using that. So, we've had a lot of that over the years, simple, low-hanging fruit kind of stuff, right? Where we already have everything established. It's just a matter of access and training.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I love hearing it on the council and how you've approached it. And a great way to start to close up our conversation today. So thank you, Atif, for joining me today. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.
Thank you.